pay him a decent wage, and then he'll show some enthusiasm. I showed enthusiasm back there, not because I was making any money teaching classes, because I was making some money running the whole ball of wax. People say, how do you keep your enthusiasm up? I was teaching. I taught 185 nights in 1 year. Almost went on the Thursday night television show called Divorce Court.
What year was that?
That was, I think that was 68. And then I tapered off after that. I just couldn't hack it anymore.
Well, is it possible to get a copy of your procedure that you go through on a complete training for a person? And
well, right now we follow the red book that the NASDS
you're following that.
And that, a lot of people commented about how bad that program is, but that may turn out to be the best program of all, because now he is sure not clean now, because they haven't offered like Patty did to go back and teach all those people. They taught so many of them, and I really blame Glenn a lot for that, because I told him a year before they even canceled those instructors out there that was a bad program. Hello.
So anyway, the red book then right now is pretty much, do you feel, is effective?
Yeah, the red book and Brawley's book are almost identical, but in the past, John has really put out some bad instructors. There's no doubt about it. The county has put out some horrible instructors.
Sure,
just 2 years ago, a guy that comes in here all the time, he's a very safe diver, don't get me wrong, and he's competent in the water, and he will drop his weight belt at the drop of a hat. But when you find a guy that has been rescued off the Westerly twice, had to drop his weight belt, and then he goes through the instructor school and comes out with an instructor rating, I just believe there's a weakness up there in that program.
It's starting to build volume instead of volume.
Yeah. Now, I was back in Houston, and John Gaffney got up and just said, look, fellows, the program is over. We're not giving any OWIP provisionals. We're not giving any temporaries. You come back and you take our 6-day course, and you either get an OWI or you fail and you go back and you study some more. He says, we're finished with that program. That's what we had to do. Now we're going to make this the best program there is in the United States. And he really said there probably won't be any clinics anymore. Those people will have to come back and go through the whole damn college, and that's what I wish they would do. We have way too many instructors. We don't have enough good ones. That's a real problem, And you should hear the talks they give back there. A guy says, I don't care whether he can instruct. I don't care whether he knows what he's talking about. I just want him to have the OWI instructor's card, and I send him out through the surf and back with my students. I do all the instructing, but I'm too old to do the training. I want him to do the water work. I sent back a very good swimmer that's super, super strong and can handle people in the water and knows how to do it, was a lifeguard and everything. I don't care if he's got any brains at all, just so he can take those people out safely and get them back safely. I'll do all the instructing. He says, that's why I need about 10 OWIs. And the guy was crying for him, And he says, otherwise I won't be able to give him good training, So he was really griping about it. He says, I just can't send qualified people back that are going to be able to get the OWI. And he says, I'll probably never send anybody back to a clinic again. And John said, well, Jim, I'm sorry, but that's the way it's going to be. We're not going to, when I joined NASDS, there was going to be a thing made where they were going to come up, send a whole crew up for a week and teach all of my guys. Rather than, well, it wouldn't have been a week, it had been 3 days, because we'd have about 7 or 8 guys in the thing, Don Morris and Irv Kushenko, because there's no way I'm going to get them to pay $300 and go down there and spend a week, see. And so when I asked John about that, he says, I won't do it. He says, I'm sorry I said that, but I won't do it. I'm going to thank you. I think he really will emerge as a top instruction agency, because he, I know a lot of people don't like John, but he's a pretty damn dedicated guy. And I can't see that he's made a lot of money. He lives in a dump. He drives a new Cadillac because the company provides him with that car. And he's finally moved into a halfway decent office. They just moved yesterday.
I'm going over there tomorrow.
They just moved to another place.
Yeah, I know. I'm going over. I have Bill Hogan's in town.
And he, like a lot of people suspect that he owns part of my company now, SAS. He doesn't own one dime. He doesn't have anything to say about it. He just, when he heard that we were going to put together a company owned by dealers, and that would be bringing some key dealers into it, you know, some key dealers approached us and wanted to buy stock in it. We sold them stock in it. He felt that was the way to go. It's controlled by dealers for the dealers. And we're given a bigger margin of profit, and we're trying to build a company that they can be involved in. And that's the only thing. I argue with him constantly. Every time we talk, I argue with him about different things. I like him very much. I'm dedicated to him, but I just argue about some of the things he does, and we're changing a lot of things he used to do. So,
is the company, the manufacturing concept, is that working out?
it's working out pretty good. You know, you got Scuba Pro and U.S. Divers and Healthways and Decor and Sportsways all to fight. We're not ever going to hurt them that much.
Are they becoming more receptive to the?
Yeah, they're more. At first, I think they were just out to really nail us to the ground. But I hope they remember that my brother and I were in manufacturing business before any of them went into business. Before Decor, any of them. I manufactured spear guns, backpacks, weight belts, and weights. And I manufactured rubber suits before any of them, and they're all wanting a rubber suit. I didn't get mad at anybody because that's competition, you know. And I hope they won't. I've never said anything bad about them. You know, I've had people, some of these years come and say, "I'm kicking all the Scuba Pro gear out of my shop." I said, "You're making a mistake. Scuba Pro's been good to you, whether you like that stock deal or not. They've been excellent to me, and I just can't say enough for that company. I love it. It's a great company. I hope it continues with the policy it has." Because the trend is when a big company like that buys over, they want a bigger volume. Hello. Destroyed it completely. And Andy and Tony found a couple of tanks out in 60 feet of water.
They
At
lost.
Hollands.
They lost the 20 boats out of Avalon that were mooring.
Well, they lost them all up and down in Catalina. 20 boats.
That were moored.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And one of the boats went up at Hollands. This friend of mine, he had 12 rental tanks. Some of the tanks were found in 60 feet of water. And at Hollands, you know, that's a long way up.
God, what kind of winds do they have there? 100?
Well, I think they were blowing probably 50 and 60.
All that.
Yeah.
They said someplace, I guess it did hit 100.
Yeah, up in the desert it hit some.
Wow. Takes a lot of...
Let me just hold my calls.
We don't have a lot.
Okay.
To do, but I'm working actually on the first chapter I'm working on really is on the instruction list, so I'm very interested in that. I want to ask you on this, on manufacturing, this thing, do any of the other manufacturers have dealerships? I mean, that they own and operate?
Well, it's just like the other day. Like last year, I bought a lot of stuff for U.S. Divers, and a big package because they just wanted big orders. They don't want to take nickel and dime orders anymore. And so we got it all in.
What's a big package?
100,000. And it was supposed to arrive in 3 different segments, and it arrived all at once practically. And we started having trouble with when you'd fill the aluminum tanks, it'd smell on the inside. So they said it was our compressor, and I had our compressor checked. And then Leonard Byrne had it checked. We sent air test into the air pollution and spent a lot of money there. And it wasn't our compressor. And then the valve started having trouble, and then they had manifold trouble, the double manifolds on the 50s. So I just sent back 10 50 cubic foot twins back there with no manifolds on them, all used and beat up. Because the customer would bring them in 6 months later, and he couldn't use it. So they kept saying, we're going to have manifolds, and so then Bill Penning was working on a couple of J valves, and he says, don't take those out of the tank. I said, spin those out of the tank and send them back and have them repaired. Brand new valves, had been used once. Well, I got a bill for $28.71 from U.S. Divers, and I was really infuriated over it because they said had dirt in them and had been turned down too far, used badly and stuff. So they said, well, you know, all you'd have to do is call up and we'd correct that. And I said, well, you shouldn't have to correct it, you know. You should have guaranteed that. That was a brand new valve. It didn't have a nick or a scratch on it. So I said, I think you're trying to get to us there, you know. You just felt that we were getting big enough that we wouldn't notice those little things. So he said, well, we want to sign you up to another big package. Well, I sent most of it back. I just dumped it right back in their lap because they wrote me a letter saying they were taking the minimum resale off, so that we could get rid of our inventory in May. You know, May, June, July, August, September, those are good months.
Yeah.
So they took the minimum resale off so that we could get rid of our dead inventory. We just got it in. So we sent it all back, and they wanted to sign up for it again. And so they said, well, I said, we're going to sell some equipment this year, Bob. He says, even if we have to set up company-owned stores. And so I says, fine, there's one right across the street that isn't doing very good. I own it, and I'll rent it to you. You can set one right up over there. They tried this before, you know. They set Brooks, the color guy, used to be he's a real nice guy, used to be with U.S. Driver, but they set him up in business. And New England is pretty well been set up in business.
Is that right? All those New England stores?
That's the story I heard. But they just don't seem to be able to work out. They want a bigger volume, and that's what scares me about Scuba Pro, really and truly. I'm not trying to start any rumors.
Because the new company.
New company. Dick's had complete control of that thing.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid he's lost control. You know, he's able to contain Gustav, you know, because Gustav did very, very well. You know, he escaped with $9.5 million. You can't say that's bad in about 9 years. And Dick came out of it with a good share of money, you know. And the dealers didn't lose anything on the stock. I think I lost $100 on the stock. Well, when Johnson Wax took over, it was only about 3, and so they came back and paid you the original 13 less a percentage or so.
What do you mean you lost on the stock?
Well, I bought stock from Scuba Pro stock at $13 a share.
Oh, I see.
And when then as soon as it came out, hell, it just went right to $3. It stayed at 6, and then dropped to 4, and then it went to 3. And we thought it was just going to go 1. Well, they had big overseas payoff, and that's one of the things that bothered me when I bought into it. And he said, no, that won't be paid off. That's going to be made in payments. Well, something happened, and the stock just took a dive. But when Johnson Wax came back in, they paid them off at the original price, less a percentage. So you didn't lose a lot. You lost $100 instead of $1,200 on a 100-share stock. It's been a good company, Scuba Pro has. It's been a hell of a good company. They've got a good program put together, and that's what the other dive companies ought to try to do. But I don't think U.S. divers would ever be satisfied with the volume.
So you don't think that this is really just a vacuous threat, that they're not really going to open up shops?
Well, U.S. divers could very easily, but you know, if they get all the dive shops working against U.S. divers, you know, you don't have to badmouth the equipment or anything. But if people don't see it in the stores, they kind of suspect that, you know, why don't they handle it? You know, if it's supposed to be a good company, everybody should be handling it. You know.
So in other words, the reputable big dealers can almost control a manufacturer then.
Just about. Because
the public
it's pretty
looks
big.
to them for,
you know,
recommending stuff.
If they all get together, like in the NASDS Association, if they say we want this made better, boy, listen, I'll tell you, they sit up and listen to you. Because John's got enough stores now that those people, you know, they're not trying to price fix or anything like that, but they want to be able to make a decent profit on something they sell, you know. And anybody will tell you how it's just. It hasn't just been diving. Boating's been good for us, and just about everything we went into has been a real good deal. Our real estate is just, we own this building, that one, and Inglewood, and we're leasing a building up here that we got 38,000 square feet. And
you have something in Inglewood?
I have a shop over there. Yeah.
Yes. The Inglewood shop is a diving surf?
Yeah, it's the old Bluefin shop.
Oh.
Has a pool in the building, but we're trying to unload that because. Yeah, they shot some bullets through the windows the other night, and my kid was standing there one night when they shot a bullet through the window. It went right into the wall beside
You're not too wild about the idea?
No, I didn't really think it was that bad
shops.
when we moved over there, and it's really black. And
but are you kind of thinking about the franchising shops around?
No, I just want to concentrate on this one shop. I'm liking manufacturing more and more and more. It takes a lot of bucks to make it move, but it looks like it's going to go pretty good. In about 3 years, I'd really like to get out of the whole thing. I'm tired.
You go sleep on Catalina.
I got 3 kids, and the oldest one, 23, just moved back home. He thinks he's going to get to live there with long hair and a beard. He's going to get.
Oh, you got one of those. Huh?
Yeah, he's going to.
Everybody's got one of those.
Laying it down when he comes back from this wedding up north. I say, you want to live here, the rules are different when you move back in. I had to put up with you the first time, but I don't have to put up with you now.
Yeah, that is.
And Rob's good. He's never been in any kind of trouble at all. But
Bustle-Liver?
no, I sold a blue boat to Jim Hall. It was a Thunderbird, a nice boat. But he's a good kid. He hadn't been in jail. He hadn't been in trouble. And me, I was brought up as a Catholic. And I can remember Lent. I would take the 3 hardest things. I love to go to shows. I love to eat candy, and I love to eat ice cream. And I'd give all 3 of those up. And you know, I haven't given up my religion, but I don't practice it anymore. I don't go to church anymore. I still pray and I believe in God and everything.